The Democrats are freaking out. Together with the Democrat-run Department of Justice, they're both panicking that the FTX scandal can bring the whole system down. We're going to see exactly what's going on with Sam Bankman-Fried's arrest. We're going to see why so many are so suspicious about the timing of that arrest. And make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video when we'll find out the very interesting relationship that Fried had with members of the committee he was supposed to testify in front of. You are not going to want to miss this. Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of the now defunct FTX crypto exchange company, was officially arrested in the Bahamas the other day. The 30-year-old ultra-Democrat donor was charged by U.S. prosecutors with 8 counts of fraud and conspiracy in what they're calling a scheme to defraud his crypto exchange's customers and his hedge funds lenders. Now, at one level, this arrest, of course, comes at no surprise. As part of their planned merger with Binance, the biggest crypto exchange platform, it was discovered during due diligence that FTX had issued a bunch of its own tokens that it valued itself and sold them to one of their biggest shareholders to artificially prop up their market value and make them appear as if they were liquid enough to be an exchange outlet for crypto. In other words, when all is said and done, FTX appeared to have fabricated equity, literally created counterfeit money to cook the books to make FTX look far more solvent than it actually was. Binance announced that they were backing out of the merger deal. Investors got nervous, made a run on their investments, and FTX had to admit that they had no money to pay the investors back. So this appears to be a rather clear case of fraud and conspiracy. But at a whole other level, one far more momentous and consequential, the timing of this arrest is totally and completely incomprehensible. Yesterday, December 14th, Fried was scheduled to testify before the House Financial Services Committee. The members of the committee were obviously prepared, at least we were told, to grill Fried over the swift collapse of his crypto company once worth tens of billions of dollars. That testimony was suddenly halted with Fried's arrest. Now, this is where things get very, very fishy. My namesake, Jonathan Turley, law professor at George Washington University, is pointing out that as a criminal defense attorney, this is the first time that he could recall ever where prosecutors moved deliberately and aggressively to stop a defendant from making self-incriminating statements. His testimony before Congress would have been entirely admissible and even likely devastating at trial. Why on earth would prosecutors disrupt that process? You have a major target who's about to voluntarily testify for hours under the scrutiny of particularly Republican lawmakers, and you as a prosecutor say, nah, no thanks, never mind. Instead of basically having their case made for them, prosecutors rushed in and arrested Fried, and as a result, he's now protected by Miranda and other constitutional rules that prevent from self-incriminating statements. In his entire career of practicing law, Professor Turley can't think of a single instance of this happening ever. So what the hell is going on here? There's clearly something to see in all of this. And that, of course, leads us to the fact that Sam Bankman-Fried turns out to have been a major powerhouse in Democrat politics. FTX spent $10 million on Joe Biden's 2020 campaign, and since then, Fried has become one of the single biggest contributors to the Democrats, second only to George Soros. And it's not just Fried. His mother, who's a law professor at Stanford, heads a major Democrat campaign fund. And now there are bombshell revelations of just who happened to be recipients of Fried's campaign donations that's beginning to explain a lot of what's going on here. You are not going to believe this. But first, for you patriot business owners out there, you've got to meet my good friend Josh Zaglowski, co-founder of ERC Specialist. He has an amazing payroll protection company exclusively dedicated to understanding and maximizing what's called the CARES Act Employee Retention Credit. That's the ERC. If you're a small business owner looking to get up to $26,000 per employee back from bumbling Biden, Click on that link in the description below to see if you qualify today. This is an absolutely amazing opportunity. In an utterly stunning turn of events, it now turns out that a number of the members of the congressional committee before which Freed was scheduled to testify yesterday were themselves recipients of Freed's political donations. This according to a report by the Washington Free Beacon. The Beacon was reporting that Freed had directed over $300,000 to Democrat members of the committee, many of whom were on the committee's Digital Assets Working Group, which worked on regulation of the crypto industry. To make things even worse, as I reported earlier, Freed appears to be at the very center of what could be the single biggest money laundering operation like ever. And this, of course, involves FTX's relationship with Ukraine. It turns out that FTX had actually partnered with Ukraine to process donations to their war efforts just days after Biden pledged billions of American taxpayer dollars to the war-torn region. Back in March of this year, the cryptocurrency news site CoinDex reported that Ukraine had partnered with FTX and that FTX was, quote, converting crypto contributions to Ukraine's war effort into fiat for deposit at the National Bank of Ukraine, meaning that FTX was converting cryptocurrency into Ukrainian currency. According to Fox News, the partnership involved the Ukrainian Ministry of Digital Transformation, FTX, and a Ukrainian web company called Everstake. And so now, with the revelation of the so-called partnership between FTX and the Ukrainian government, the very government that received billions upon billions of dollars from the United States, the question that is arising from all of this, given his ties to the Democrats, how much of those taxpayer funds ended up funneled into FTX, which of course turned around and funneled tens of millions of dollars into Democrat coffers. Democrats funnel billions of dollars to Ukraine. Ukrainian officials funnel money to FTX in their so-called partnership, and then FTX funnels that money right back into Democrat coffers. So there is the potential here, the potential of uncovering what appears to be a mass money laundering scheme where taxpayer funds that are supposedly paying for weapons and aid and the like are being rerouted ultimately into Democrat politicians' pockets. So obviously all of this explains exactly why the Democrat-run, corrupt to the core Department of Justice stopped the congressional hearings before they even happened. The rationale for this 11th hour arrest is hardly perplexing. We'll obviously be keeping a very, very close eye on how things develop, but it does most certainly look like the Democrats and the DOJ are once again colluding. But eventually, this whole thing is inevitably going to crumble. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You will definitely want to check out my latest video on another woke media outlet imploding. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.